everyone, my name is Kat Savage and I'm a professional artist, clinical hypnotherapist and well-being expert working with those in the creative arts sector. In my line of work, I get to meet some amazing, colourful people, from actors to artists, people who live their lives by their own rules, fueled by passion and determination to bring their unique talents into the world. I wanted to discover what it took for people to leave the usual 9 to 5 and hop on a dream, to capture their bravest moments and share these meaningful conversations with you, so that together we can explore the ideas, emotions and moments that could potentially change our lives too. So let's keep talking, have some fun and enjoy the show. This week on the Brave Moment podcast, we speak to singer-songwriter Alex Hart. Recently, Alex has toured internationally with Martin Barre from Jethro Tull, joined and toured with the band of Seth Lakeman, working with him on his latest album, A Pilgrims Tale, and currently in the studio for the second time for Seth's latest album, ready to tour after the lockdown. She has collaborated with Grammy Award-winning songwriter and producer Terry Britten, famous for Tina Turner's What's Love Got to Do With It, and supported Turin Breaks when she landed not one, but 2 recording contracts for the US with OK Good and the UK with Right Track Records. During the lockdown, Alex has been developing her recording and production skills, resulting in her recently released album, Under the Covers. It is with great pleasure that I get to introduce you to one of the most talented artists I know, the incredible Alex Hart. Alex Hart, welcome to the show.
Hey!
How are you doing, love? How's your lockdown been?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's been busy and I've been keeping myself going through working different jobs and just paying the bills and just trying to continue being a fully functioning adult, which is really hard.
But, you know, you have been busy, and in amongst all of these crazy jobs that you've taken on, you have created a whole new album, Alex Hart.
I know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it. Like, what inspired it and how did you get that thing going?
Basically, my boyfriend came up with the idea. We were having a beer at the Bread and Roses in Plymouth, and it was during, I can't even remember what time of year it was last year, obviously in between the lockdowns. And he said, you should write an album, or you should record an album at home, because you've got, you can buy like really basic gear with the money I'd saved from one of the jobs I did. And it would be just a really good way to make a bit of extra cash and also just to keep you going. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. And I'd never thought to even do it. I don't know anything about Logic or, I didn't have anything. I had a computer, but I didn't have a microphone or anything like that. So I did go and buy just like a really basic setup, which cost me about 200 quid. And so I just thought I'll maybe just do a covers album because it's easier and I don't have to sit and write a whole album when I'm not feeling that creative, and I can just play the songs that really mean something to me, and I can have fun with it, and there's no pressure, there's nothing, there's no deadline. It's just me. I'm not spending any money. I'm just sitting here in the evening and making music, which is awesome.
Like, what was the first thing you had to do to sort of teach yourself how to record?
Well, I was really lucky because I just pulled in some favors with people, and one of my good friends is a guy called Josiah, who you know.
Shout out Josiah Manning,
of course. And I basically FaceTimed him a lot, and I was like, I've got Logic now, and I don't know what I'm doing, but can you just show me if I'm doing it right? And then he'd say, oh, you need to just press that button in or whatever. And I knew what I wanted to do, and I had all these ideas, but it was just hard sort of getting it out. And I managed to borrow a couple of monitors from my friend Lee, who is moving house. And he said, oh, they're just going to gather dust. So if you're recording, you can just have them for now and, have them on a long lend. And I was like, that's amazing. So I've got these lovely monitor speakers, which I'm just borrowing. And then, a microphone that I bought, which was, I think, £100, which came with its own pop shield. That's it, really.
You just went for it.
Just went for it, yeah. I was just trying to be brave and take the leap. And I think as well, it's like, I've watched so many producers and engineers in studios do it over the years, and I've always known like basic things, or they've gone in to record and they say, oh, you press record when I go in and do the part, and I know very basic things like that. And I think in my head I'd taken on some of those knowledgeable things and not really realised, which was cool. And I didn't need to watch any YouTube, actually. I thought I would need to go on there and really geek out about it, but I'm just not interested in that. I'd rather try and work it out and make mistakes along the way. But yeah, it's worked out good. So
do you feel like you've sort of leveled up as a musician as a consequence of this experiment?
Yeah, I do. I really do. It's been awesome because I'm really bad at soloing. Like, I've never done a solo in my life. I don't even know where to start. I don't know my scales. I don't know anything like that. And then I actually got sent this instrument over lockdown by a fan in America, which is so awesome. And it's called a seagull. It's this like...
Hang on, what? Like a bird?
Yeah.
Like a seagull?
Yeah, it's really weird. But it's part of the dulcimer family, which I've never...
Oh, wow!
Yeah, which I'd never even knew about. And it just arrived in the post. And so I've been recording a lot with that and using it as like a soloing instrument because it's detuned, it's open tuning, and you can kind of make it go with a lot of songs, if they're in the right key. So I think working on that, and also my bass playing skills, which are so basic, but I just stick to the root note, and then I don't have a drum kit, so I've been trying to make beats by using my leg, or like a kick drum by just that sound on my hip, and then trying to EQ it into a kick. And it's just that kind of thing has really made me try and find my creativity in a way that I didn't know I had.
That's so incredible. And it just goes to prove as well that you don't need like masses of kit to produce something beautiful or something meaningful or intuitive.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I love that. I can't wait to hear it. I'm so excited to hear it.
Yeah.
So what sort of songs are being featured on this particular covers album? And, just give us an example of maybe one of your favourites and why you put it on the album.
Well, there's 8 songs on there. And I chose songs, I think they're mainly from the 70s era. And I think that's, which is great, and I grew up listening to that kind of music, and I love it now. I always listen to that style. And one of the songs that I really love is a song by Van Morrison that I chose, and it's called Into the Mystic. I don't know if you know that song.
I love that song. Yes.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. It's an amazing song. My dad actually chose it. He said, because I said to him, what would you, any requests? Because it's quite nice sort of, including your family. And he said, I'd love it if you did that song. And I said, oh my God, I love that song. Like, I always used to listen to it. So that was really special, but it came out so well. Some of I've done a song on there by the Bee Gees, which is More Than a Woman, which was really cool. Yeah. So there's quite a mix of stuff, but I think it's just wicked. It's such a cool thing.
Let's take you back in time a little bit. Talking about your dad, talking about the kind of music that you were growing up listening to. What was the first record that you ever bought and why?
I think it was probably Norah Jones. And I used to love her jazz albums, and that was because I wanted to be a jazz singer at the time. I wanted to be the next sort of female Jamie Cullum. That was like my thing when I was younger. And I was singing for lots of jazz bands, and I was only like 15. And yeah, I got really into that style. I loved Doris Day. I loved like traditional jazz back then, Ella Fitzgerald as well. So yeah, I think that was, yeah, I think Norah Jones is probably the first proper album I bought.
How do you feel like that particular style of music has influenced where you've sort of gone to today?
I think it's made me really try with my phrasing. I think it's really relaxed me. I think it made me study music in a different way than, kind of the pop industry. I think it really made me appreciate, like real raw musicians that aren't overdubbing and laying tracks. It was like real soul, real performance. And I think that I've taken some of that, hopefully, with what I do now. I don't like, auto-tune things. I don't like real clean production. I like it to be quite country rootsy, just raw,
natural, emotional. Yeah. And you do. I can remember, I think it's I'm on Fire. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Yes. That when you did that cover, I listened to it. It was on Instagram, and I was absolutely in tears because your voice is really pure and it's really clean and it's really emotional, and just what you brought to that particular track at the time was just, it was just lovely. I think I was having my breakfast at the time just listening to it.
Thanks,
Alex. You'll have to put that on an album at some point. You probably already have.
I'd love to do that one day. Yeah.
So are the rest of your family musical, or is this something that sort of is yours and yours alone?
It's something that's mine and mine alone, really. I think my mum used to sing when she was younger, I guess, when she was kind of in her teens, but then she gave it up, I think, because she suffered from stage fright. And but then I think when I was a child, she used to do lots of karaoke in the local pub, like, where we lived, and it was great growing up with that. That was awesome. Lots of ABBA and Whitney, and it was great.
Was there lots of dancing around your kitchen with hairbrushes? Please let that be true.
Maybe not hairbrushes, but we definitely danced around.
So here you are with this gift to sing. How did you sort of become self-aware of the fact that you're any good at it?
I think it was at school. When I was at secondary school, I started hanging out in like the music department all the time. Like, I was obsessed with being there, and some of the teachers picked up on the fact that I was singing. And I think one of the music teachers sent us off for a while, and they, put us in a room with a piano and said, work on a piece and come back and show the group what you've done. And I found this music book, and it had Do You Know the Way to San Jose in it by the Burt Bacharach. Yeah, and I love that song. And I was like, I'm gonna play this. I was having violin lessons at the time, and I was not enjoying it. My violin teacher was a bit strange.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I was like, I just want to sing. And I was listening to loads of music. I'm always singing at home, always. And also Joss Stone, who is a good friend of yours. She's from the same village as me. She just become famous, she just made it, and that was a big thing for me, and I thought, wow, she's gone to my school, and it was like, it was a big thing, big inspiration. And I was singing this song, Do You Know the Way to San Jose, and sung it to the class, and my teachers were like, oh, you've got a real talent there, and they decided to put a band together for me at school. So I had a band with all the teachers in it, which was so weird. And it didn't.
So hang on a minute. So the band were your teachers? They weren't even fellow students?
Yeah, they were the teachers, and it was just so strange, and it didn't do anything for my street cred at all.
bless them though for trying. They must have
yeah.
really seen something in you that was really special. And thank goodness that they did, because, you know, maybe you wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that situation. But yeah, that is weird.
It is weird. I mean, what was cool is it started there, and then I took it home, and my uncle was living across the road from us at the time. He was renting the house. He was playing in our pub in the village, and I kind of showed interest about singing, and then I think from there as well he really helped me. You know, we used to gig together and things like that, so that was kind of the beginning of like proper gigs and proper music for me.
So here you are with your uncle and you're doing your first sort of gig experience, really. Did you feel nervous? Did you still, like, when you say about your mum suffering with stage fright and stuff, did you ever suffer with anything like that, or were you just straight up and ready?
I think I must have done a little bit, but I didn't let it get to me. I think because I was so young and I was singing with Andrew, and we were playing in a few bars in Exeter by that point, which is crazy, and pubs and things like that. And having him there was so helpful. And I think I was getting a lot of good praise from people because I was so young, and they couldn't believe that the voice was coming out of someone that age. And also the songs I was singing, you know, I was singing lots of standards, you know, real jazz stuff, and I was recording a little EP and things like that. I think it all kind of went to my head a little bit and gave me the confidence that I needed to do it. I think I just loved it so much. I was obsessed.
That's so lovely to hear, though, because sometimes, I mean, a lot of the stories that I've heard so far, people have just been really nervous when they've started out. But it's lovely to hear that straight from the start, you were so passionate about it that actually the nerves took sort of like a back seat, and you were just able to just delve into the music. That's such a different story to so many others. So that's really kind of cool in a weird way. Do you feel quite lucky that was the way that you perceived it?
Yeah, I think I am lucky like that. I think I'm so relaxed, and I think that's what my parents have always said to me. Oh, you're too relaxed. You know, you need to like. And I was like, oh, actually, it's actually served me quite well.
But, you're too relaxed. Yeah. A sentence said by no one ever. Yeah. Brilliant.
I know. I mean, I do worry about stuff, but, you know, I do. Yeah, I feel like I'm a bit like, well, you know.
Well, good for you. I mean, crikey, people are paying millions to try and feel relaxed these days. So, you know, I think you're in a good place.
Thank you.
The way that you're describing how you've come to be where you are is so organic and so sort of linear. Like, it just seems like everything's slotted into place. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, really lucky.
When was that moment that you sort of stepped away from being a child with your music, I suppose, and maybe stepped into more of a mature direction?
Probably when I met Barney, who you know, Barney Dine.
Oh, shout out Barney.
Yeah. And I mean,
what a legend.
He's such a legend. You know, I think I was 15, or I think maybe even I was still 14 when I met Barney. And I met him in a place in Torquay called the Cider Press. Which
good old Cider Press.
Yeah, get on. And then I went to kind of get up and play with his band and things like that, and go every week to the open mics that he was hosting. And then I recorded an album with him that I'd written all the songs. I was so young, you know, I think I released it when I was 15. And I think from there, that was when I started seeing it as like, okay, this could be something, you know. That's
really, really cool that you've sort of had such a mature head on your shoulders at such a young age. So this album that you produced with Barney, what was it called? How did it come about? What was the recording experience like for you as a teenager?
I know. I don't even know what we called the album. Like, I actually have no idea. I haven't listened to it for years. I think I found it on my my iTunes like a few months ago. I was like, oh yeah, that was that one. But I remember recording it, and we recorded it he was in this little studio near, just outside of Paignton somewhere. I can't remember. It was like Stoke Gabriel, that was it. That's the name.
Stoke Gabriel.
Yeah.
That's a legend of a village, that place.
Yeah, it's a mental place, like beautiful place.
Yeah.
And he was renting a little shed, basically, which was on part of this guy's land. And it was epic. And I remember going in there and we like put egg boxes on the walls and there was bits of carpet everywhere, like to soundproof it. People used to have parties in there, like it was just mental. And yeah, so we recorded the whole thing there, and I stayed with him and his wife sometimes when we were recording, and we used to just like, yeah, just be really in the music. And I think, it was just crazy. But I can't remember how many tracks. There was probably like 10 tracks on the album. So it was really fun. It was like, I did all the backing vocals and he played all the instruments. I played a bit of guitar, I think, but he mainly took the reins on that and got his friends in, and he did loads of production on it. And it was really cool first album. It didn't go anywhere, but it was just like, it was just great. Really good.
I can remember the first time that I recorded and I was absolutely terrified of my voice because, when you can hear yourself in your own head and you think, oh yeah, I sound all right. And then you listen back and you go, oh my God, is that really what I sound like? Yeah. Did you have that freak out moment as well? Or was it just me?
I think, yeah, I get what you mean. I think because I probably recorded myself a little bit at home and I can't remember how I did it, maybe like on a tape thing or whatever. I was quite used to listening back to myself. So I don't think, I think I was all right. But yeah, I think being in front of someone else and singing in front of someone else was weird for me,
Oh. Where was sort of like your lucky musical break? Or do you think just like the rest of your life up until that point, you kind of orchestrated that moment to happen?
Well, I think that kind of happened, which it was orchestrated and it was great. And I think that began an amazing journey between me and Barney and his wife and the other band that we created, Dean, who was a drummer as well. And from that gig, from that album, we did a gig supporting Turin Breaks.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit older then. This is kind of a couple of years later, and we supported them at Lyme Regis Folk Festival, which was epic. Like, it was the best gig I've ever done. It was just so cool, and didn't get to meet Turin Breaks, unfortunately. But
what a shame!
Yeah, I didn't even know who they were because I was so young, and I was like, "Who's Turin Breaks?" And Barney was like, "They're my favourite band in the whole world." But from there, we managed to get a little record deal in the US and the UK. And by this point, we'd been working on a different album. So this was the On This Day album, which Barney helped me write as well. So yeah, I think, working with him, it just kind of spiraled into so many different things.
That's incredible. I mean, at the time when you were being offered these recording contracts, how did it feel? Did it feel intuitively right? Did you feel the sort of like the gravitas of it, or at the time were you just kind of a bit like you usually are, a bit relaxed about it all and going, yeah, cool, this is fine?
Yeah, I think I was really excited, but again, there's lots of big words when you working with older people like that in the industry, and I just didn't understand what a record deal was, what it entailed. It was such a small deal as well. We weren't signed to EMI. It was like, they were taking a percentage of it, but the money wasn't going to me. There's all these contracts, but I'm not involved. It's always other people in the top that are saying it's okay, we've got it taken care of. And that's quite scary. It's like, okay, you've got it taken care of, but what does that mean? But nobody's really there to explain it to you. And it was a really weird time. And the album that we made, I'm not keen on it. I didn't really get much of a say in anything.
I mean, was there anyone sort of standing in your corner throughout this whole process, or was it just really your thing and you had to try and sort of muddle your way through the experience?
I was really lucky because my mum and my dad and my uncle were there with me throughout it. But again, they're not music people. Like, they don't know how the industry works. They were going by my manager or producer's word at the time, because that was all the only person we could trust. He's the guy that supposedly knows about lawyers and about big contracts and London A&R guys and all this stuff, and it's so full on.
If you could go back to that time now, with the hindsight that you have now, how would you have done things differently?
I think I've learned a hell of a lot from going with them and going through that experience. But I think I would have probably waited until I was a little bit older and I, knew more of a direction in the way I wanted to go, I think, and done my research into the industry, what it's like, who to go with, what to do. But I didn't.
Do you think in this day and age where obviously you can just upload your music to platforms like BBC Introducing or to, Bandcamp and all this kind of thing, do you think that needing a record contract is kind of null and void now? Or do you think there is still a space for that to be an opportunity for younger people?
I don't think you need a record contract anymore. I think unless you are being signed to EMI or Sony, a big label, then I wouldn't even entertain another record label, because unless they can throw a hell of a lot of money at you and get you on the BBC playlist and on Radio 2 constantly, and get you a good income where they're not taking all your finances, it's just not worth it, I think.
It's so interesting to hear, like, a sort of a modern point of view of someone who's really in the industry at the moment, because I know that a lot of people coming out of college will be feeling that pressure, maybe in the same position that you were in back then, to have that record label in order to have some kind of, feeling of being in the game or feeling of success. But it's so good to hear from your point of view that actually you don't need that. You make your own success by the sounds of it.
That's it. I think, with the power of the internet now and the power of making a video on your iPhone and things like that, it was so clever what you can do. And I think the key is to learn about social media. As much as I hate it, and I hate it with a vengeance, the worst thing last thing I want to do is sit down and do a Facebook post or an Instagram post. I absolutely hate it. But if you don't know anything about social media, you're not going to get anywhere. And that for me is the brutal truth. Like, you need to be good at those things to push yourself. You are a business. You've got to run your music like a business if you want to be successful in that way. But success is what you make of it. It's not saying, you have to do those things because then you'll be successful. Successful is whatever you want that to be, isn't it? It's not, for me, it's not being famous. It's like you're just going to be disappointed because being famous happens to 1% of the population.
You do you, people.
Yeah. Don't be pressured. Don't be pressured.
So, taking you away from that experience for a moment, you have had some wonderful opportunities. When was that moment that you thought, you know what, this is it? We were just talking about success, but this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Can you remember where you were or who you were playing with and what was your experience?
I think my biggest moment in that respect was the Turin Breaks gig. I think that was like the start of everything for me. And I was there and my whole family were in the audience, and that was like really nerve-wracking. And we'd gone up on a big bus, and that was playing with Barney and the band. And it was just so magical. The organisers loved it. They were like, you were the best act we'd seen all weekend. Like, it was just, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, no one had ever said that to me. And the band were on fire. We had like 4-part harmonies going. It was just amazing. And in that lovely, I think it's like the town hall, or it's called the Marine Theatre. That's it. I remember it now. It was just lovely, and everything was lit up with fairy lights, and it was great. Really good.
What do you think was what has been your proudest moment so far? So not necessarily like your happiest or your this is the start of your success or whatever, but, what have you been really proud of in your experience so far?
I mean, that's such a hard question, isn't it? But I think one thing that stands out to me is when we were touring in the US a couple of years ago, we did a gig in New York, and we played at this place called the Iridium, and Bruce Willis came to our gig.
Oh, shut the front door.
Yeah, it was amazing. And we were playing with Martin Barre from Jethro Tull, and Bruce is a big Tull fan, like huge.
Just casually, Bruce. Bruce is a fan, yeah.
Brucey boy. And it was just so crazy. And I came out of the gig and stood on the street with Becca, who was the other singer, and I just cried. I just absolutely cried. I just couldn't believe it. But I just met him, it was like, what is going on? It was just, I think that was...
What was he like?
Lovely, absolutely lovely. Like really down to earth, just how you think he is, And
that's so awesome.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Do you miss touring?
Yes, I do.
Oh, what do you miss about touring? Like, what are the highs and lows?
Oh, man. I mean, before the pandemic hit, I was due to tour 6 times in that year. And
wow.
I lost all of them, obviously. But, I mean, the highs are great food normally. Definitely great drink, which is wicked. You get to meet people that you haven't met before, having fun, going out after a show, or like going for breakfast somewhere, or taking a little detour and finding something down the road, playing on awesome stages as well, seeing like with Martin, because he's such a big name over there and everywhere. He's a really famous guitarist, and we get to play on huge stages sometimes, in front of like 2,000 people a night. Wow. And it's amazing, or sometimes there'll be little intimate gigs, but they're always sold out, and that's really amazing. And every day is different. There's nothing, you just don't know what's going to happen, or what part of the team is going to be like, right, we're going out for cocktails, or we're having a 7-hour drive and then we stop for margaritas on the way and get a Chili's. It was like all these like chains in the States, and it's just great. I absolutely love touring. I didn't want to come home when we did the US one.
Bless you.
It was great. So
that's really cool. Do you ever miss home? Do you ever get that homesick feeling?
Yeah, I did miss home. It's hard when you're touring because you don't get any privacy, and you're always in a van with someone, and me and Becca were sharing a room every night, and it's hard. You can't just sit by yourself and even take a phone call because you want to say so many things, but you feel like everyone's listening, or you just like... it's quite nice just to take yourself off sometimes and be alone. But it's really difficult to pick the time that's right as well. Because someone's going, you've got to be on stage in 5 minutes, and you've got to wear, dinner's at 8 and get up now. And it's like, oh, God's sake, I just want to have a lie-in. And it's just like, you can't have a lie-in. You can have a sleep in the car. Okay. Don't want to do that again. Yeah.
The smell of like Pringles in the back.
Yeah. All the snacks.
All the snacks.
All the snacks.
Oh my God. So for those that are maybe coming into touring for the first time, like what top tips can you give them for an excellent tour experience?
Pack as light as possible, because half the stuff you pack you're not going to use. And you think you will need it, but you just won't. I would say go in with an empty expectation and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a nerve-wracking thing, but I think the not knowing is the best part.
I think that's a mic drop moment right there. Not knowing is the best part. Wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
So coming into your daily routine, so obviously we know during lockdown it's been a bit different to what your usual routine would look like. But as a musician, what does your daily routine look like, and what do you strive for sort of within a week?
So I get up at 7 because my partner gets up early as well. So and make a strong black coffee.
Cheers, girlfriend.
Yes. I mean, normally I start with a cup of tea because I can't have coffee first, but so tea in the morning and then coffee, and I'll kind of sip that through the morning, and then I'll write a list of what I've got to do for the day. Then I walk the dog, and then I'll come back and probably teach on Zoom, and then I'll update my social media. Then I'll teach some more, make a video, reply to messages or emails throughout the day. That's just an ongoing thing. And then I'll make dinner or have dinner made for me. And then
Lady of leisure.
Lady of leisure. And then I might teach again. And then we'll watch First Dates.
Nice.
And then we'll go to bed. And that's it. Every day.
Truly relaxed look at life.
Yeah.
Look at
It's hilarious. That's just been my life every day for the last however many months.
I really feel you. Sometimes I like get up and for the first hour I don't know what to do with myself, so I just sort of wander around. Or I'll annoy my husband, Tim, shout out Tim. He'll be trying to do some work and I'll just be hovering because I literally don't know what else to do with myself.
Oh, babe. What's your day like? Is it quite similar to mine then? Like that kind of thing?
I've got better with the lockdown situation now. So at first, there was a lot of the hovering and the sort of twiddling my thumbs. But now, like, I'm really trying my best to keep on top of my editing, to, book new people in for the podcast, to do a bit of homework and just be ready for when we come out of lockdown. Because obviously we're all going to have gigs and stuff again. So trying to be a little bit more match fit, which was a tip from Joanna Cook, who came on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And thank goodness that she gave me that tip, because I was thinking, crikey, I haven't actually sung for like 12 months.
I know, so, I'm feeling that. I know.
Oh my goodness, I know, right? And especially for someone like you who does go on tour and has to gig way more regularly than somebody like me. But oh my God, just today, actually, we've just started working on some new tracks and I was trying to use my full voice again. That was hilarious. I was like, what?
Really? Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? I've been doing the same thing, and the other day I had a rehearsal with Seth Lakeman because we were working on his new album. And
amazing.
Yeah, which is going really well. But I literally lost my voice at the end of the session.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah. And he was like, wow. He said, you've really lost your voice, haven't you? I was like, yeah, I have. Like, I don't know what's happened.
Here
I am. Oh, I love microphones. You can just play around with it. It's great.
That's great, isn't it? Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you've just mentioned working with Seth Lakeman on his new album. Talk to us a little bit about how you met Seth and also how that's all come about, and how's the album going, other than losing your voice, of course.
Yeah, it's been great working with Seth. I never thought I would ever be able to work with him. And it came about because I used to work in the B Bar in Plymouth, a little Thai restaurant. And he came in one day to get some food. And it was just me in there. I said, oh, hi, Seth, how are you doing? And he was like, yeah, good. He said, oh, I'm going on tour, actually, in February. And this is like November, And he said, I'm going on tour in February and I'm looking for a female musician, like a singer. Would you be, interested? And I was like,
no, Seth, out of the bar.
No. I mean, why did you come in here? And I was like, yeah. And he said, okay, well, if I send you some songs, I'll come back here tomorrow and I'll bring my guitar and we'll have a little run through. And I was like, all right. So he came back the next day and I was working again. And luckily it was quite quiet in the restaurant and there was probably like one table of people sat down eating their lunch. And he said, oh, okay. And I'd learnt the songs. I'd stayed up all night learning these songs. And then we went and sat up in the mezzanine. Obviously, no one's manning the bar at this point. and he said, we started singing them, and everyone in the restaurant, which were all of two people, turned around and were like watching us, which is quite crazy. And it just went really well. And he said, oh, I really like it. Yeah, this is going to be great. And he said, I'll send you the whole album, and we'll do the whole thing. And you've got the gig basically. And I was like, wow. And this was like 2 years ago. And then basically rehearsed with him all through the winter. And in February, we did a tour, which was all about the Pilgrim The Pilgrims Tale, it was called, and it's all about the pilgrims going over to America. And he wrote an album which was, quite in the middle, about the views, of the Wampanoag tribe, lots of songs from their point of view, and lots of songs from the English or the Dutch point of view, I think. And we did a tour around the UK, going to all the places that had been visited during the Pilgrim tour as well.
Wow.
And played in lots of churches and lots of amazing little venues that nobody had ever done a gig in. It was like it was just a history tour, really. And then we had a live album at the end of it, which it did really well and got lots of really nice reviews. And I was singing the original album that he'd recorded before was had Cara Dillon on it, so I was singing all of her parts, which was
oh my goodness,
a real honour. Yeah,
that is a massive honour. I'm a big Cara Dillon fan, so good for you. Oh my goodness, big shoes to fill, but you did it with class.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that was the last gig we did before lockdown.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I would have lost my mind in lockdown if that would be my last gig, and then I had to face lockdown. Oh,
it was crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
That's so cool. And now you're working on a new album with him, which is fantastic. When is that due to be released? Do you know?
I don't know. I've got no idea. I know we're recording it next month, which is really exciting. So, and it's all sounding wonderful. So I think, just going to wait for that. Yeah, and then a tour at some point. So, but yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for you, Alex Hart. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So, talking about songwriting and stuff, I know we're coming sort of to the end of the interview now. I could talk to you for days. You'll just have to come on again at some point.
Would love to.
Good. So I just wanted to ask a little bit about your own songwriting. Like, where do you draw your inspiration and how do you go about capturing it? And I know that's sort of like an unanswerable question on a lot of levels, but try and do the best you can.
I think for me, it's like going out and about, walking the dog. At the moment, I've got a lot of inspiration from listening to the radio. And I love it because I've got a new car, and in the car it's got all these different radio stations like country hits and smooth country and
bit of Bob Harris.
Yeah, it's great. I'm loving it. I'm loving all that stuff at the moment. And also from these sessions that I'm doing with the theatre, it's really nice because I run a lot of sort of free writing with the students, and from doing that I seem to be getting a lot of inspiration for just writing gobbledygook basically and trying to make it into a song and teaching what I preach, which is hilarious. So yeah, it's just doing that really. I think free writing has been a huge help. Definitely, like, can't push that enough. I think everyone should try it. It's amazing.
How do people sort of go about that in the headspace, if you know what I mean? Because I know that just saying free writing, we kind of understand what it means, but how do you even begin?
The best way I can explain it is I would put on some music, and sometimes it's better with no lyrics in the music, just instrumental. And then you kind of just get your pen to paper and you just write whatever comes into your head. You don't cross anything out. It can be like, it can just be anything. You just access that part of your brain that just writes. You could even just go, I'm writing. Or you could go, my name is blah, blah, blah. My name is something. I come from, just little starting points like that. And I think if the music has distracted you so much, it hopefully will take you to a place that you're not familiar with, and then you can just write whatever comes into your brain. Like, I like tea. I need to take the bins out today. There's a tiger in my garden and it's got a hat on, and I don't know why it's looking at me through the window, but it's smiling at me and it's really weird. And I'm looking in the corner of my room and there's a spider. Hello, spider. Like, just really random stuff. Like, it's, if you just let go, you can look back on it when the song is finished, or even if you want to carry on through a whole album if you wanted, and just think, wow, that's really cool. I've just written all this stuff, and some of it's rubbish and some of it's cool, or it's all rubbish. But it's a really good practice to, start you off writing. And then you can go back and edit things. You can change words that you don't like. You can cross things out. You can find a different word for running if you don't like it in a thesaurus, or, it's just little tricks like that I've found really helpful.
Even if you're someone that just practices with instruments or singing, I think it's a good habit to have that writing string to your bow anyway.
Yeah.
Just so that you can appreciate music on every single level.
Definitely.
Talking of which, is there a song in your life that packs that emotional punch when you hear it? And if so, why is that? And is it anything to do with the lyrics that you're describing now?
I mean, there's so many songs that do that to me. One that I can think of at the moment is a song by David Crosby and Snarky Puppy. They did a song called Somebody Home. And when Snarky Puppy record albums, they record everything live. And obviously they've done a live track of this with David Crosby from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And because David is such a prolific songwriter and musician, that's a really special thing to watch. Obviously, he's a lot older now, and he's playing with a band like that. And I just absolutely love it. And because the musicians in the orchestra are so good, it's the Metropole Orchestra, and he is fronting it. It's such a magical, empowering thing to watch. And I listen to it in the car, and it's just like, it gives me tingles every time, especially if I've had a glass of wine and I'm like, you must listen to this song. And then I just sit there quietly and everyone looks at me like I'm absolutely mad. But it is amazing. I can't, everyone should listen to it. I mean, we all say that and everyone goes, I'm not going to listen to that. But it is so special. It really is.
I'll put a link in the show notes so people have no choice but to go and check it out.
Well done.
So who else has been sort of like your musical inspiration? I know that you've mentioned Norah Jones and I know that you've mentioned a couple of others, but who are the people that sort of inspire you to keep going? Who do you really admire? And then what do you take influence from, if anything?
Stevie Wonder. I'm a huge Stevie fan. I love everything about him, his journey as well. Every song that he's written is just a masterpiece in my eyes. I saw him live and he just blew me away. He's the best gig I've ever seen. Doris Day is a huge thing for me. She was the first real singer that I got into and loved her phrasing, loved everything about her, the girl next door. Her fashion was amazing.
Oh, she's so legendary, isn't she?
And the work she did with animals, that was beautiful. And she went through a lot of hard times. Sheryl Crow has always been a big part of my life.
Oh my goodness. Sheryl, talking of Sheryl Crow, me and my husband managed to get tickets to go and see her at the Maida Vale Studios.
Wow.
And it was intimate. There was I reckon maybe about 30 or 40 people, us included, and it was just I literally don't think I blinked the whole time that I was watching her perform. It was unbelievable, and she's so amazing. Her range is insane, and she's so just so natural. Very, very similar to you, actually, I think, in terms of being on stage.
When did you do that? That's amazing, Kat.
That was back, I'm going to probably be corrected by Tim, but it was probably 2002, 2003.
Wow.
It was awesome.
I would have killed to be there. That's insane. What an experience. I bet she was amazing. She's so good on, live, and I love the fact that she plays instruments and she just looks cool, and, she's just a legend. She really is. Yeah, she's always been a big thing for me. More recently, a group called The Staves, The Staves. Yeah, I'm just obsessed with them. I have dreams that I'm one of the sisters, or that one of the sisters has gone ill, and they've rung me up and said, Ali, we know that you know all the words and all the harmony parts, so can you come and cover a gig, please? And I've gone, yeah, I can definitely do that.
Thank you. They're so clever, aren't they, with their harmonies? Very, very clever.
Amazing. Absolutely.
Have you ever gigged with them?
No, but I mean, that's on my bucket list. I think I'd die a happy woman if I
when that day comes, you have to contact me because I have to see that gig.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if that day comes, it's going to be in everyone's ears. I'm never going to shut up about it. I'll buy everyone a ticket so that they can just sit there and watch it, because I'll be loaded then. Whee!
Yay! So So we're coming to the end of this interview. I'm so sad. Wow. So I have to ask you, what do you consider to be your bravest moment or moments where, and this can be something physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, whatever it is for you, and how has it shaped your life as a consequence?
Well, something quite random. When I was 19, me and my boyfriend at the time sailed across some part of the ocean, and we took part in a sailing race called the ASAB, which went from Falmouth to the Azores and back again.
Wow.
And yeah, that was a pretty big thing for me, because I've grown up on boats and things, not that I'd had it myself, but my family, my grandparents had little sailing boats and things, but I never really learned how to do it. And for the ASAB, you had to know lots, to qualify. So I had to do lots of weekend trips with Joe, and we went over to France, and then we sailed past the Scillies and got stuck in a storm and nearly died and things like that, and then we could qualify to do the ASAB, and it was just a crazy time for me. But I think that was like a big achievement, especially at that age.
That's huge. That's unbelievable. And what did you take away from that sort of emotionally for yourself?
I mean, it was so crazy. My parents didn't want me to go and they were worried, but, they let me do it in the end and they supported it. The thing I took away from it was that my boyfriend was a bit of a jerk, and I found out that he was cheating on me when I was on the boat.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I found an email through a satellite phone that we had, because that was our only way of communication. And it was from a Plymouth girl, and saying that she missed him and, and all this sort of stuff. But I had to keep my mouth shut because we were 2 weeks at sea, and I didn't really want to. Yeah, I had to bury it down. So it made me so much stronger, I think, as a person. And I came back and ended it, obviously. And then I got back with him again. Crazy.
Oh, but we do crazy things like that, though, when we're in that situation.
Yeah, we do, don't we? Mental.
I mean, have you sort of forgiven yourself now? And what have you taken? Like, if you look back on it now, what do you take from it? What have you learned from it?
Even though it was awful at the time, it did me the world of good. It really did. I learned so much from it. I didn't, I knew what I wanted. I didn't want to be with someone like that who treated me like that. I mean, obviously I went back to him, but after the second time, then I knew I didn't want to be with him anymore, which was great, So, yeah.
And you seem to be doing all right for yourself now.
Yeah. So far, so good.
So I'm going to give you one more question before the quickfire question round, and I'll let you get back to your crazy day, because I know that you're on the radio later. But if you could meet 100-year-old Alex, bearing in mind what you've just said, what would she say about your life now, and what advice do you think she would give you going forward?
I think she would say, keep striving. Don't stop. You've got a real passion there. It's silly to give it up, even if times are hard. Sometimes you don't make the income that you want, but it will get good again, and then you'll get your bad times. And also that success is what you make it, because there's so many people, I think, singers and musicians, that think, oh, well, if I'm not famous, then I'm not successful. And actually that is just not right. I really believe that. And I had a tiny taste of it when I was younger, a really minuscule, look into that life, and I just think I don't want that, now. And if you're happy doing what you're doing, and you can earn money from music, or you can support yourself in whatever way that is, then you are succeeding.
Oh, mic drop. I love it.
I'm quite impressed with myself. I never say stuff like that. Oh.
It's because your 100-year-old self was saying it to you, so you can blame her.
Get out, girl.
She's very wise. Right. Alex Hart, are you ready for your quick fire question round?
Yes.
Yay! All right. Hold on to your hats, peeps. Favourite song to sing in the car loudly?
Shania Twain, Holding On to Love.
Oh, good choice.
Yes.
Musical hero?
Stevie Wonder.
Yay! Favourite guitar?
My Taylor.
Favourite place you've ever played?
Iridium in New York City.
New York.
New York.
What gives you energy on tour?
White wine. Or black coffee. Bit of both.
What's your pet peeve?
Loud eaters.
Oh, do you know what? Right.
What?
I have to say this right now. I have massive misophonia, as in if there is someone just even crunching or going like this.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Then I know I can't cope. It's terrible, isn't it? I feel your pain, sister.
Yeah.
Talking of drink, if someone wanted to buy you a drink, they'd better buy
Gin and tonic.
Good choice. Any particular gin?
Not fruity. Maybe Plymouth. I do like Plymouth gin, actually, with lime.
Plymouth
Lots
gin.
of lime. Yes.
Nice. Favourite movie?
High Society.
Musicals, yay or nay?
Nay.
Nay. Biggest epic fail?
Falling off stage when I was playing Alice in Wonderland as a child.
You literally fell down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, literally. Right off the front of the stage.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh so hard.
It's brilliant. Absolutely. We were doing the looking glass bit and I just, stacked it.
Brilliant. I winged it when
I started teaching.
Do you know what? I think every teacher feels that way.
Yeah.
You know, having done quite a bit of teaching in my time, every lesson's a wing it moment, I think.
Yeah, it is. You're like, what? Am I good enough? Oh my God. It's crazy.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Happiest moment in your life?
Touring the USA, probably.
Songs that make you cry.
David Crosby, Snarky Puppy, Somebody Home. Yeah.
The thing you say to yourself before stepping on stage?
Probably You Got This.
Last thing you wrote?
I wrote a free write last night about a country scene.
A country scene?
Country scene.
Oh, describe.
It was a country track with a big tree and a squirrel running across the road and horses neighing in the distance.
Oh, yeah. I want to be in your mind just for one day. It sounds beautiful.
It's very boring, but it's, it has its perks.
In contrast, if you're in a zombie apocalypse, what would you use as a weapon and where would you hide?
A rifle, and I would hide in a crate. And this is why, and I will explain, I have been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's why I'd use a rifle and I free write about country scenes. And it's the best. I'm not even not proud to say it. It is such a good game.
You are living your best life right now, aren't you? I can totally tell it. I'm going to give you the solitary clap. Well done, Alex. You have absolutely survived your quickfire question round with some of the best answers I think I've actually heard on the show so far.
Brilliant.
So just so that people know, where can they buy your music and what are your social handles, just in case people are not sure what to Google?
So you can buy my music on Bandcamp. That's where my latest album, Under the Covers, is. And if you want a physical copy, I've got a very small amount left. So you just need to message me on Facebook, facebook.com/Alex Hart Music. So just Alex Hart Music. If you Google that, everything will come up. It's Twitter, .com, Alex Hart Music, Instagram @Alex Hart Music. My website is alexhart.com. You'll find it all. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Thank you so much, Alex, for taking the time out of your day. I know you're a busy girl at the moment, and it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And hopefully we'll get to speak to you really soon.
Oh, thank you, Kat. Thanks for an amazing interview. And yeah, I'm honoured to be part of the show. Thank you for asking. Love ya.
Love ya. You know how some people just give off an energy that makes you feel completely at ease? Well, that's Alex, down to a T. Her relaxed attitude, the cadence of her voice, her carefree style all contribute to the magnetized energy she produces, be that in an intimate conversation or on stage. It's no wonder that such talented musicians can't wait to work with her, and that her deep-rooted passion and articulate skill set have led her into such wonderful opportunity. Alex reminds us that although it's tempting to follow a route that would lead to fame and instant recognition, that it's not worth selling your soul for. She has tasted both sides of the music industry, and she asks us creatives to take heed. Success True success feels better when it's self-made, when you have the control over the pressure and contracts that you put upon yourself, that the muse should not have a $ above her head, but should be met with a smile in a local bar and conjured from laughter, guitars, and the joining of voices, or created with friends over Zoom with your dog by your side whilst you put together a simple makeshift studio and slap your thighs and tap your feet to conjure new sounds and new ideas that are yours to share how you will. Letting go of what you think success needs to look like and creating your own version is exactly what the creative life is all about. That feeling of success in each shared and electric moment of your life nearly always begins in a small shed with friends in the middle of nowhere. As Alex has adapted to the past 15 months of the pandemic, she has been sharing her expertise with students, and one of the things I really enjoyed listening to was her take on free writing. What a wonderful experiment for loosening up the creative muscles and allowing imagination the time to play. I watched a film recently called Come Away, which was an adaptation of the stories Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland. The writer had asked the question, what if before Neverland and Wonderland, Alice and Peter were siblings? And in the film, we see the importance of why writing your own version of imaginary events enable both characters to remain ever curious in the magic of life, have a recognition in each other's respective worlds, and also how important it is to get lost in imagination, to avoid turning into adults and losing the ability to create altogether. Free writing, creative music, drawing for the hell of it, painting without purpose, these are all ways to dive into our inner worlds and bring up the treasure we need to exchange in the real world. These exercises provide the tools, the new way of seeing the problem, and more importantly, allow us to play with possibility. So let's take a leaf from Alex's book for a moment. Grab a piece of paper or your journal and a pen. Pause this podcast and start writing. Maybe you could use Alex's Country Lane free write as a jumping off point. Or what I like to do is look around and see what I can see. So right now, for instance, I can see a red sweater on my clothes horse, and I'll start imagining why it's there. Maybe I stole it from a bench, or maybe I came home and found it there, knowing it's not mine, and so I start creeping around the house trying to find an intruder. I come in from a storyteller's perspective. I can't help it. But equally, I could sit here and describe its texture, the way it looks like a person slumped over, or how the bathroom light shines on the zip. I can also see a hole in the skirting board that I've never noticed before. And looking at my hands, I can see the staining from my red hair dye on my fingertips. So whilst I write about the things on my mind, why don't you write about the things on yours? And I will see you all back here in a moment. Go on, pause this podcast and give it a go. How did you find that exercise? I loved it because I got to be in the moment with what I'm experiencing. I feel calmer because I got into the flow state of creating, and I could feel that shift from my high frequency beta brainwave, the one that keeps me doing the tasks I need, to my alpha brainwave, the place where my brain lights up and has fun. And looking at what I've written, I can already see a potential poem in there. So even though I went into the exercise with no expectation whatsoever, I've come away feeling excited and full of inspiration. Thank you, Alex. I can see why you encourage your students to do this exercise for songwriting purposes. In summary, Alex is a testament to how a little goes a long way. A little daily practice, a little kindness, a little learning each day of something new, a little encouragement, a little less pressure on yourself, a little recognition from others, and even a little white wine on tour with your friends can add greatly to the joie de vivre and sweet creative success that you could potentially experience every day you decide to follow your passion. Little by little, your finances will build, your reputation will precede you, and your skill set will blossom. And if you allow yourself to relax and embrace each of these incremental moments, you may find yourself in the lucky position of realizing just how monumental these minute moments really are. As Emily Dickinson once said, Forever is composed of nows. So sit back, relax, and enjoy each moment of your today. And who knows, maybe tomorrow you'll be touring in America and having a beer with Bruce Willis. Next week, we kick off Series 4 with Master Potter and Zen Buddhist John Pollux as he takes us to Japan and back again in a series of ceramics. And if you wish to hear Alex Hart and her incredible voice, follow the links in the show notes of this episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the show. If you have a spare moment now, please like, subscribe, and tell me your thoughts in a review on Apple Podcasts, which will really help other people like yourself to find the show. Of course, you can also share the show with your friends by following us at the Brave Moment Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, or on Twitter at Moment Brave, or just follow the Linktree on all of our social media platforms. It's been so wonderful to have you all here with me again. Please get in touch with your own stories, and remember, your brave moment starts now.